nervous system was so shocked and was so fried that nothing was working. For me, mental fitness is the ability to be stretched and then come back into balance or into harmony. Say I don't do mental health, I do mental fitness, I do resiliency training. Again, it's semantics, but I think words hold power. It's like everything is figure outable.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Startup and Scale-Up People podcast. Thank you for joining. Remember to subscribe. A lot of people forget, and it's very important for us. I'm Mario Rivas. As you know, I'm a business advisor. I work in business integration and automation, and also I work with execs. Today's a special guest. We have Sasha here. Is Sasha Cayward? Good. So good pronunciation. She's an ex-VC. She was also ex-tennis player. She played tennis for 16 years at the Leeds. So we're gonna play a match during the next few weeks. And she's an ex-VC, as I mentioned, so she has a lot of experience on that. She also worked in San Francisco and one of the biggest residencies there, working with founders. She's a coach as well. She coached founders as well. And she's very into neuroscience, mental fitness, emotional intelligence. She studied at LSE as well, something related to organizational psychology. And also she's the head of community of Hubble, which is an amazing platform, which, basically it's an ecosystem for people who are in the startup scale-up world, I would say. She's going to explain more later. So it's going to be a very mixed conversation today. Welcome, Sasha.
Thank you so much. You did a better job than I probably could have introducing myself. So thank you.
I think to start the conversation, I would like to talk a little bit more about what you do in terms of coaching. Right?
Yeah.
I know that you are the head of community. You love this, connecting people, making things happen. You were a VC, you are a coach. But I think it's very important for me, and I think for everyone, is what the work that you do with, C-suites at startups or scale-ups, how you coach them, what you do, how you got into this field. And it's very interesting because I was reading a little bit about you, and I heard that you had a very bad time as well. And that's why you basically rebuild yourself. So explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think my background, kind of as you said, being an athlete, I've always had coaches, right? And I always equate everything I do within the startup space as either I always equate it into art, and I also equate it into sports. So those are the two kind of analogies I always bring in. So get ready for a lot of analogies around that in this podcast. For me, always, having been an athlete for, as you said, 16 years, which is crazy to say, at the elite level for tennis, every person has a coach. Every person has multiple coaches guiding them through the process of either the mindset, fitness, and then actual tennis. I think at one point, I really did have around 3 different coaches around fitness and getting physically fit, around training and around technique, and then around mindset. And sometimes those coaches would overlap. Sometimes one coach would do multiple things. And having had also many bad coaches in my life, really understanding how much a coach can impact your confidence and how much a coach can impact how you view yourself and how you perform. And how it wasn't always the one that was the most, it's actually funny. My best coach never played professional tennis. He was actually not very good, but he had such an eye for technique and such an eye for understanding patterns and the game of tennis, but on the court, he wasn't very good. But versus my coach, one of my coaches who was, almost a professional tennis player, is one of the worst coaches I've ever had. Having gone through a really,
he was bad because he wasn't available, in terms of emotional intelligence. He wasn't a good coach, so he couldn't basically put in practice what he knew.
It was the inability. It was a lot of lack of empathy a lot of the times, inability to explain, inability to try different things but didn't work for one person one way, the inability to try different methods to get it to work for that person. I was also the only girl at the training facility, and I think I was the first girl he's ever trained. So it was a lot of understanding each other at certain points, but we got there in the end. Then through that, having had a pretty traumatic ending to my tennis career through injuries and also through really bad mental health, when you get to that point, that pinnacle, that top of the game. There's nowhere to go but down. And having, again, one of the coaches that I was going to be training under, she ended up leaving to go to a different university. And the new coach kind of put in, again, I was going through something that she couldn't really understand. I had a lot of health issues as well. So there was a lot of things just culminating all at once and not really having anyone to really lean in on and support who wasn't inside the game was really difficult. And through that explosion, I say, that I had my first year of university, I realized that there's a huge piece missing to coaching, which is the nervous system. My nervous system was so shocked and was so fried that nothing was working. Like, I was gaining so much weight. My skin was breaking out constantly. My digestion, my gut, like my moods, severe depression, because my nervous system was just fighting for survival. And when I was going through university, I decided to choose neuroscience and psychology as my degrees, to really understand like what was going on, both in my own life, but then also for other people. And then during COVID, I was in London and got certified in all these different nervous system techniques and women's health and breath work, meditation, yoga, somatic therapy, basically anything I could get my hands on and like really learn, I did, because there's that huge gap between the mind and the body where we try to think our way out of things. We try to just be positive, affirmations, but I say like your business will take you to the level of your nervous
talk to yourself in a positive way.
Positive self-talk, like that doesn't work.
It works. It's one factor.
It's one factor. Yes, you need to have positive self-talk, but that only works, again, if your nervous system is going to be in the rest and digest state, if your nervous system is balanced. And so often, people are like, just write sticky notes and like, write affirmations and tell yourself that you are X, Y, Z, and like, or visualize. Like, visualization is huge. And yes, visualization is such an important tool. But again, you can visualize success if your body is scared to hold it. And I've seen so many of my friends, make it to the professional tour, get to the very top, and then immediately get injured because they really couldn't hold the success. They couldn't hold the pressure. They couldn't hold the visibility. And, their bodies would break down mentally. Like especially for women, how many female tennis players end up having to leave the tour for mental health reasons for a period of time is quite.
But that happens to move a little bit. That happens in every single field, right? Mental health is very important, right? And I say this because I was a robot. I'm 42 years old, and I was like a robot up to 35 years old. I think it was like, when I say a robot, it was like very machine, blah, blah, blah. Then something happens, right? I had an episode because sometimes you think that this never gonna happen to you, or why people are like so depressed, or why people are like this, how they cannot control their brain until it happens to you. And because in an episode, something happened in your life, something very destructive. And that's the moment where you as you said, like something happens that you cannot hold it. So you have to work on it, right? Why I'm saying this, because this happens in every field, not just in tennis.
100%. That's just the field that I know and like am very passionate about, because there's such a lack of conversation around it. But every field, every sport, every industry, musicians, athletes, performers, and then obviously in the tech space,
business people, also like some people are just having like kids. They don't know how to handle it as well. That like it happens in every single part of life. But I know that you're more focused on startups and scale ups and coaching now like professionals, entrepreneurs. For how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this, I guess, for about 6 years now. About 6 years.
You did it in the US as well, in San Francisco. Right?
Yeah, so I'm currently coming in as one of the coaches for the residency, which for people who don't know is one of the largest residential communities in, not only in the world, but definitely in the US, that has a bunch of different houses for founders to live together, work together. There's a program for them to go through for 3 months to get, that culminates in a demo day. But one of the most amazing things that they're doing is that they're bringing in coaches for all of the founders to, again, they realize at the people side.
How does it work then? You have to give equity away and they pay like everything. Imagine someone from, I don't know, China got the spot. They pay the tickets and everything. Someone who's bootstrapping, they don't have a coin. How does it work?
So in terms of how the residency works,
Hmm?
yeah. So the residency, like you apply, and they select, and it's a 3-month program, I believe. And I think, yeah, they're working on it right now as well, in terms of like updating and upgrading it. And I believe it's 2% equity for that, but then it's a continuous process of like, you're kind of constantly in the community and a part of that.
And coming back to the coaching, so you've been doing this for 6 years, right? I heard that you are a coach for Hubble, right?
Yes.
Which is also you are the head of community of that platform. And which is matter do you specialize now?
In terms of for coaching?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nervous system. So for me, it's any founder that has tried the talk therapy, that has tried the talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, that has tried, just even just like working out, and it just feels like everything's kind of coming in all at once. And so then
that's for the symptoms. Just to understand which are the key symptoms that like a founder has to feel, right? To understand that needs your help.
You don't sleep. You wake up and your heart's racing. You can't really fall asleep during the day. You're kind of jittering. You're relying a lot on caffeine to kind of get through the day, mental brain fog, kind of weird bodily symptoms. So again, like really random heart palpitations, random breakouts if you're a woman. If you're a woman, also irregular cycles, menstrual kind of dysfunction. Again, I was an ex-founder as well, so built in the femtech space. So that's also big.
Anxiety?
Yeah, and then like anxiety, but that's also like, yeah, kind of that heart palpitations, kind of frazzled mind. You're kind of constantly like on edge. So, you're kind of acting out towards your friends and family. You kind of just erupt. You're reacting versus responding. It's a lot of knowing what you need to do, but then the inability to take action on it because you're kind of in this frozen sort of state of being. Phone addictions and just kind of, doom scrolling all the time. Avoidance as well, knowing you have to do something, but avoiding that action. So those are kind of the big symptoms right now.
Which is the difference, or I don't know the difference, or how they are connected? Can you explain a little bit about neuroscience, mental fitness, emotional intelligence?
Yeah. So neuroscience.
I'm into these topics because I like them a lot because of, as I mentioned, like I had a period of my life, like for around a few years where, I also had to rebuild myself, reinvent myself, and a lot of things happen, and I had to get more into, like mental fitness, I would say. I'm into that, and how to keep focus, how to be high, like I like high performance basically, and how I can keep it, hold it without struggling. And I was reading a little bit about, not a little bit, I've been reading a lot about neuroscience, right? But from your side, I would like to learn more because you connect all the dots and you're a professional, right? Not just, talking with ChatGPT.
So when I was studying neuroscience, my main actually interesting focus was on addiction. So I can speak a lot about addiction, but neuroscience it's just the study of the brain, right? So it's studying how the different parts of the brain are reacting to each other, are being impacted by environmental factors, the receptors. You have your neurotransmitters, almost forgot the word for a second, but your neurotransmitters, your receptors, how, everything's kind of being related to one another. And mental fitness is just, for me, how I describe it is the ability to have my rubber band for those of you who are on video. But for me, mental fitness is the ability to be stretched and then come back into balance or into harmony. So mental fitness is your ability to have a really shitty conversation before a meeting, be stretched, and then come back and take that meeting like nothing happened. And it's not bypassing. A lot of people think that mental fitness or this kind of high performance is just bypassing, where you kind of just, again, put it away and you don't think about it. But no, it's that an emotion lasts 90 seconds within the body. From the moment that you feel that emotion to when it actually just dissolves it's just a bunch of neurotransmitters is what's happening. Those neurotransmitters will dissolve in 90 seconds. And the faster you can learn to have a shitty thought or a shitty feeling and get rid of it, the better. And so this is what, for me, mental fitness really is your ability to go through something and then come back, and then go through something and come back, And what happens over time, you increase your stress tolerance. So you increase the amount of stress that you can go under and still perform and not have these negative consequences of stress. We all need stress. Stress is very good for us. You need to have stress in your life, but you can't have this constant stress of that's what we're all under. We're all under this acute stress and like chronic stress.
I embrace the stress.
We embrace the stress. And like, I'm very transparent. Like today, I've had a very, like this past weekend, I've been very overstimulated. You know, like my cycle's late. I'm very overstimulated. I've been traveling a lot. I'm just kind of like, woke up, doom scrolled for like 45 minutes, felt even worse, and was like, okay, I need to figure, like, this is not good. And so I took myself out for a walk, you know, put my phone on airplane. I listened to a sermon and from yesterday that I missed. I listened to the sermon and just kind of was like, okay, letting the feelings.
I imagine that you didn't drink any coffee, right?
No, I didn't have any coffee. I actually ate breakfast first and then I had a little bit of coffee. But I made sure to eat. I took myself out, listened to something that like filled me up. I went to the park. I listened to some really good like worship music and did some breath work and then had a good cry and just kind of like released it and just felt like just coming out, came back and was like, okay, we're good. Like sometimes your body is just holding on to things that you just need to release.
It seems that it works because you look good and
we're here.
Yeah.
And I think the more that we can also talk about this holding this duality of you can feel really heavy feelings and still perform. You can be going through something really difficult, but be able to get yourself through it without really needing to go on a sabbatical or, you know, like take time off. And this is where I think a lot of founders are like, I'm feeling this thing and I don't want to take a week off. I'm like, you don't have to take a week off. It's spending these 30 minutes and concentrated 30 minutes where you turn off your phone and you don't have tech and you feel and you can do somatic exercises to release this pent up tension, this pent up emotion that's just in your body from like the past weeks, months, even years that you just have this kind of it's like that junk drawer. We all have that junk drawer in our house. And you have one in your body and you have one in your brain as well.
You know, like about mental fitness. What you just mentioned, it was a very good example how to train your brain basically, right? And to do so that way you don't break down. And this reminds me, Novak Djokovic.
Yeah.
Right. He always say, well, I don't know if he always say, but he says, for me, why he's superior to a lot of players, right, is because he managed to have a very good mental fitness. When he's like struggling in a match, he's at a very bad position. He spends a few seconds or microseconds with negative thoughts, and then he comes back. So he resets himself like in a constant way, coming back to the present, resetting himself, his thought, and then he moves on. And that is that's something that is very, I think, is important because it's like you said, like he's stretching. He knows that he's there. He goes back very quickly, and then he's come back, right? He come back, and in that way, is a very, I think, efficient way to manage the stress when you are in a very stressful situation. In the morning also, I woke up a little bit overwhelmed because I had a lot of things on my plate, and I did something similar to you. Like I had a shower and I went for a walk.
Yeah.
I went for a walk, and it was sunny at the beginning. In the morning in London. Now it's cloudy, but it was sunny in the morning. So I was taking the sun and was talking with myself and walking and deciding how I was reorganize my day, my priorities, and also, like, I don't know, like this self-talking that we were mentioning. And then I came back. I was like much more clear. I wanted to do meditation as well. I thought, I should do meditation, and then I couldn't. I said, I thought, no, I need to like get out like what I had to do. So I started working. And it was a very, I think, it was a good thing that I did in the morning to be as I am now.
It shows, you don't need a massive reshuffle. You don't need to do a lot of things. It can be literally as simple as one of my favorite techniques when I'm feeling, again, overstimulated and just like very overwhelmed. I put on a good song and I just shake and just kind of jumping up and down, like shaking it. And again, that is helping your body to release the tension. We are meant to sprint and then rest, sprint and then rest, sprint and then rest. And what we're all doing is we're just sprinting. We're just sprinting and then we're kind of like, oh shit, like we need to stop. And then but when you're stopping, you're still kind of like walking around in circles, and then you sprint again and then you're kind of walking around instead of actually fully just going and then having that rest. And I say, like, watch Animal Planet. If you ever want to learn about the nervous system, just watch Animal Planet of these gazelles being chased by a lion, and and then they're like, whatever animal it is, cheetah, they're being chased. And then if they escape, kind of are like, okay, they all shake. Every animal after a stressful situation shakes. They all just kind of go like, and then they're good. And then they kind of wander around and then they're fine, instead of them holding on to that tension for the entire day. And then just continuously running. Like you've outrun the lion. You're fine.
Have you heard about tapping?
Yeah. So that's one of the practices that I do as well. And that I teach all my founders is EFT tapping. For those of you who don't know, it's emotional freedom techniques. You tap on certain parts of the body. It's the top of the head, the top of the eyebrows, side of the eyes, underneath the eyes, top of the lip, the chin, the collarbones, and then under the armpits. And it's mapping the meridian points in the traditional Chinese medicine. And it's basically allowing the circulation of energy to flow. And when you do it, you actually do really feel like this buzz. And the point of it is there's like scripts that you can do. So you can literally tap. And I like to do is I do 2 rounds usually of what I'm feeling and actually naming what I'm feeling. So I say, even though I'm feeling really overstimulated and I'm feeling really stressed and there's a lot of things I have to do and I feel like I'm dropping things and I'm not good enough and that I haven't been holding to my word and to what I've been said, you basically name everything and everything negative that you are experiencing or feeling. And then you tap in the positives of like, even though I'm feeling this way, I know that I know that I have this. I know that I have, the power. Good things are happening to me. This is just a moment, and you say like then the positives, and it just taps into the subconscious brain of allowing your body to again go into that rest and digest and be receptive to positive affirmation in a way that isn't off-putting, where the body is like, oh no, that's not real. But the vagus nerve is relaxed enough to then receive those affirmations as truth.
I've done it many times.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And it worked. It worked very well. I think for me, it works when I'm very in the limit, right?
Yeah.
So I do it and I feel it. But when I'm like normal and I do it, man, this doesn't help. But it's when I'm like, like I'm like here.
Like you're like, I need something.
Yeah, you can see like, but it works with everything, with like sadness, or whatever, like very strong emotion that you have that you want to release, internalize, and digest. It works. When it's very intense, I've done it because of this period of life when I tried many things. Yeah, it worked. I remember. Sometimes I do it when again it's very intense. Yeah, that's why I was asking. So, okay, so neuroscience is how the brain works. Then we have mental fitness.
Mental fitness is your bounce back.
So then the emotional intelligence, how do you connect all of this together to create Sasha Cayward, the best coach in London?
Emotional intelligence for me is, I think everyone has their definitions, or, there's all the scientific definitions. How I approach it is your ability to put the human first. And emotional intelligence is your ability to connect with the person and to understand both for yourself. And like when I say understand the person, you are also a person. So it's understanding your person and also someone else's person. So instead of when you're having an argument with someone, instead of immediately lashing out and having, calling them names or saying something that they did to you like 2 years ago that you're still upset about, it's understanding that like, hey, they're also going through something. Let's find that middle ground. It's like,
it's about empathy. Empathy.
It's empathy. It's understanding the human. And emotional intelligence is like the practice of mental fitness, which is, the backbone of like neuroscience. So I'd see of it like, if we're doing it this way, kind of like those stepping stones, but emotional intelligence is just how you operate in this world right now, having a very human-centered approach, especially now with this rise of AI and automations and AI this and AI that, it's so tempting to be like, how can we push the limits of, what it means to be human and to be sentient and to have, and to be cognizant. And it's always having the human at the forefront of how is this going to affect not only me, but those around me, the planet, the environment, the ecosystem. And it's realizing that we are at the center of it. And like we have the ability to destroy it, or we have the ability to make it flourish. And there's daily actions that you get to choose, and you have your own environment and you have your own garden of people, of places, of things that you get to either, again, nurture and like let flourish, or that you can poison and, destroy. Lack of better words.
What about wellness? Are you into wellness too?
I don't like that word. I really don't
why?
like that word. I think it's become so performative. Same thing with mental health. I'd say I don't do mental health. I do mental fitness. I do resiliency training. Again, it's semantics, but I think, words hold power, and words hold meaning.
But why you don't like wellness? Why you don't like wellness?
I'm getting there. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Sorry. I got excited.
You're like, what? She's like, wellness. I think wellness is it's become this blanket term, and like wellness and like health is, obviously you can never change the word health. It's an important word. I think with wellness, how I've been seeing it, it's being manipulated. It's being it's very performative. It's like waking up at 5 a.m. and drinking your matcha and doing your Pilates and like working out. Like people coin as wellness. Again, if your nervous system is shit and is overstimulated, waking up at 5 and doing all of these things is not going to help you. I did it. Like I've been in that position where I was eating super, super clean, never ate junk food, never drank a soda, didn't eat a cookie. And it turned into an eating disorder. And it turned into a very severe one because I thought I was being healthy and I thought I was doing all these wellness practices like the sauna, the cold plunge, again, even like the yoga, the working out, the fitness, the food, but it became really, really toxic. Yeah. And it was just like, it became super, super toxic. And people think that wellness is this one size fits all, and that you have to do all these different things and you have to do it in a certain way to fit in this wellness space. So yeah, I just don't like that word. I think a lot of brands have also co-opted it and have pushed, kind of really bad products or things that aren't really like helpful for you as a way to kind of hop on the trend. And anything that becomes trendy, again, loses its actual meaning. So yeah, I can go on a big rant, but I don't know. I just don't love it. I think it's still a word that we can use. I just, you have to be aware of it.
It's good to hear that, because to hear this from you, right? Because you were an athlete, right? A professional athlete, like where you have to be very strict with diet, with sleeping hours, like with all these wellness behaviors, right? And listening to this from you, it made me rethink about wellness, right? And I never heard anyone like challenging the word wellness and what is behind of it. So I think it's very,
it's $1 trillion industry.
It's very good. It's very good because I'm a lot into fitness now, and we track, the food, calories, protein, fat. I don't eat now. Like I'm more like actually deciding if I put a small spoon of olive oil or not, because I'm gonna reach my limit of my fat and stuff like that, for example. But it's because I want to burn fat. That's the reason. Once you are there, it's easier. But I'm like try to get leaner. But my point is like I'm doing other things to be very, very healthy, right? But in the end, it's like, as you said, like start a moment that is unhealthy, right? Because it's too healthy.
It's when your mental space, and like for me, it was when food became the reason I couldn't go out with friends. It became the reason, as you said, do I put the extra spoon of olive oil or not? It became the point where I couldn't go to bed because I hadn't hit my 10,000 steps. It became the point where, and there's a balance between discipline, devotion, and obsession. And you need to have, like, for me, discipline is a really interesting word. I choose devotion because I'm devoted to my higher self. I'm devoted to this future version of me. I'm devoted to this person that I know I can be, and that is worthy, and that is the person that can hold the dream life that I want. because we have to be very honest with ourselves. The person that we are now most likely is not going to be able to hold everything that we want in the future. So that's where identity work. And again, mental fitness, emotional intelligence, all of that plays a role into expanding your capacity to hold more. If all of a sudden you get dropped $10 million or 10 million followers, or, you get put on stage in front of 10 million people, most likely you're going to freeze up and you're going to be like, I don't really know what to do. Like, what's going on? You need to ease into that and expand your capacity to navigate and to hold that. And then we go into obsession. And like, I had orthorexia, I had anorexia of just, again, being like, I remember so vividly of being in different like places during tournaments and being like, I can't eat this one cookie because this one cookie is gonna like make me fat. Or
we are
and
like
it was
this
like the mental and like when you're, and again, stress is so interesting because you have this subconscious stress of, that one task that is like in your brain that you need to do, that you've just been putting off for so long, and it's there and you like feel it.
I know that.
It's the same thing then for food or for fitness or for anything healthy of, oh, I haven't done that today. Oh, I haven't done that today. Or I need to do that. I need to do that. Or like, oh, I did that. And I ate that extra like spoonful of olive oil. That's an extra like whatever. That is so much more stress on the body and on the mind than just eating the fucking cookie. Like, it's like, there gets to a point where you just eat the damn cookie and then understand what emotional behavior led you to want that cookie. Was it that you're feeling lonely? Is it that you're feeling sad? Is it that you're overstimulated and are turning to food? It's knowing what underlying behavior is driving that action. This morning when I was scrolling, it was avoidance. And it was self-sabotage, and it was knowing that I wanted to go do a workout, but I really wasn't feeling it. And I was like, if I pass the time now, it's gonna be too late for me to go. So therefore I can't. And I did that. And I was like, okay, what is this underlying behavior? What is underlying thought and feeling? Tomorrow, I'm going to make sure that this phone is not in my room, and I'm going to have it outside, and I'm going to get ready, and I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to book my workout class. And like making sure that is actually a priority, because that person that I want to be in 3 years' time is not missing her workout class and is not just doom scrolling and like trying to just overstimulate herself into like wanting to go back to bed. So
that's mental fitness. It's like which measures you take to rewire your brain, right?
Yeah. And it's like, cool. In the morning is like literally tap in and be like, I'm overstimulated. I literally want to just go and doom scroll and like get that dopamine, but I'm not going to do that. And instead I'm doing this, and this is what we're going to do. And like walking yourself through the day as you tap and as you breathe, and you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm ready to go. But yeah, no, I think, back to the whole wellness rant. I think it's a $1 trillion industry. How many supplements are coming on the market that are actually like, they don't do fuck all for you? They're filled with crap, and all they are doing is trying to sell you a dream. Like it's feeding into this idea that like there's a pill, there's a shot that can get you to where you want to be without putting any of the work. And like, this is why I think it's funny. The body has become like another like conversation, but the body has become a status symbol. And then it's always been co-opted by some sort of drug or pill. Fitness was aspirational, now you have Ozempic. Having muscle was aspirational, now you have steroids. So there's all these things that showed the dedication and discipline and devotion and daily consistency you can kind of get with like instantly. And now what people are trying to find that next thing of like, what is that next aspiration? And I don't know what it is. I think I've seen hints of it on social media, but yeah, it's just like you can't pill your way into health. And the wellness industry has stuck onto, and even in like business as well, things are trying to get into what people want and how to get them there faster, and you just sell the pill, sell the pill, sell the pill, sell the pill. So I ran.
That's true. We've been talking about a few things, and it's 40 minutes already. We didn't touch that much about founders and how you help them, what you do, because we have like 7 minutes more. We just
Part
been
two.
talking
We have
about,
a part two.
we will have to have a part two. No, not kidding. We will have to have a part two where we talk more about founders, what do you do. But I think because we are like very close to the end of the episode, right? So it's very good to talk about like mental fitness, psychology, neuroscience, all of this wellness, emotional intelligence, your experience, and what you see from there. Just to touch a little bit about founders.
Mhm.
Do you have in mind a very successful, very good founder where you can remind, or where you can say, oh, this guy had a very high, like mental fitness. Do you have one in your head that really, you don't need to
Yeah.
name him or name her, but you can say like, or someone who was very bad, and then you reach a very good point with that person and what you did. And how was that person in the end? What the person
Yeah,
was
I
doing?
think one of the best founders I've worked with, it was more for refinement, and that's something I love doing. Is like you're already kind of good, you kind of you're there, but again, like you just need someone in your corner to either pull you forward and be like, hey, actually, this is how you can do things better, or I say I don't call people out, I call them forward. Like, here's what this next evolution of yourself is going to be doing. Here's how to think about it. And one of them, just like one of the best ones I think I've worked with, is to be a good founder, you need to be able to take a lot of hits. And this is why I think a lot of really amazing founders are athletes. And you need to be able to take shots to the body and be able to stand tall and be able to be like, I will find a way. And there was, a few of the founders I've worked with, a lot of them just happen to be athletes or like have had an athlete body. And one thing that makes them so exceptional is this idea of I will find a way. It's not working. Like shit's going like to hell. I will find a way. This isn't the way that I wanted it to go. We had a client pull out. This happened, lawsuit, whatever. I will find a way. I will find a way to make it work. I will find a way to get through this and not play victim. And they have this mindset that nothing is happening to them. It's all happening for them. It's all opening up another path. It's showing a pivot that they needed to make that they were kind of like not wanting to do. And then they did it. And then boom, like the raise happened or investors finally got it. And I think, and then on the flip side, I guess the ones that took a lot more kind of work and being to showcasing that, hey, like, this is how you be a good founder is one, the emotional intelligence and how to talk and lead, and how you lead yourself is how you lead your team. So that's like one of the most important things. So if you're not treating yourself right, you're not going to be treating your team right. And then on the other side of that, the kind of throwing up and be like, oh, well, it's just happening this way. Like there's nothing I can do. And it's that kind of mindset that's not going to get you very far. And I always go back to Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, that man has the at all costs or at any cost mindset that, again, taken too far sometimes. But if you just look at the principle, like there's always a way. There is always a way if you dig deep and if you have the ability and the capacity to find it.
Yeah, no, it's a very good mindset. Back in the days, I was in operations. I was leading teams of 3,000 people, 8,000 people, industrial operations. Like dealing with a lot of problems, like real problems that impact people. Like now I am in tech, so it's totally different. Oh, the product is not working. Okay, people will not use it. Yeah, they can lose money or not. In here, you do a mistake, someone can get injured. They can cut that finger, like whatever, like a leg, or so it's industrial operation, right? Someone can die basically. I was very successful. Age, I was like 27. I was leading big teams. 26, I think, 27, 3,000 people. But in the end, was because of everyone was desperate. I know this is a mess. Like, what is it about? What we're gonna do? We're gonna do. So relax. Everything has a solution. Let's work it out. And I'm from Chile, right? I said tranquilidad ante todo. Tranquilidad ante todo. That was my phrase. My phrase in the first company I worked with. It was a cow. It was a jungle. Like all the directors, everyone was like fighting. Everyone, no, it's your fault. It's your fault. It was like, honestly, it was a jungle, and I had to fix my function, right? And I was very young, dealing with very big fishes, like strong personalities, very senior people, and I was the youngest one. And my team was very nervous because of the problems. And basically the phrase was tranquilidad ante todo. That was like, hey, calm, everything's going to be fine. That's it. We're going to resolve it. That was my phrase for like, I don't know, for 2 years. I had to repeat it. And then it changed culture, it changed people, and then nothing The worst problem wasn't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, this happened. Okay, bring this guy. Okay, let's resolve it. Okay, let's talk with this team. Let's talk with our team. It was like very smooth. But it took me like, honestly, 2 years to change. Because what, 3,000 people, but change everyone. Also, like from top to the workers. And now you're mentioning it, like, now that you mention it, it's not the same word and it's not the same phrase, but yeah, now I'm incorporate this phrase in English in my head. There is
Even
always
in
a way.
Spanish, it's like everything is figure outable. Like that's the word that like I think in my life there's been so many instances where you're just kind of like, how the fuck am I gonna get like am I gonna figure this one out? And it's like, no, everything is figure outable. Everything has a solution. And I want to say this before we finish is that sometimes the solution is to quit. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that word. I call it the Q word. People are really afraid of the word quit. And I say there's a difference between quitting.
Sorry, you said
quit.
I quit. Okay.
Yeah. Quitting and tapping out. There's a difference between quitting and tapping out. And for me, like when you quit, you know that there's nothing else. Like you have nothing left to give. Like you have maxed out your reserves, your tank, your ability where you know that going forward is actually going to cause you more harm than good. For me, that was with tennis and that was with being a founder. I knew that moving forward was just going to cause everyone around me a lot of stress. It was going to cause me, it was just going to be, it was not the right thing to do. It was a selfish thing to do. It was the ego thing to do versus tapping out is like, you know, you have more to give. You're just kind of like I gave it a good run. I gave it a good run and I don't really feel like it anymore. And it's that like, I don't feel like it. Meh. And for me, like those two, once you realize those two differences, you give yourself the permission to quit. Give yourself the permission to quit because that sometimes is the best solution. Like sometimes it is and people don't realize. I think Stephen Bartlett actually has a quote he posted a few years ago saying sometimes quitting is actually the strongest thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's true. And I think more people need to realize that quitting your startup is actually sometimes the best thing to do. Quitting your sport is sometimes the best thing to do. Quitting a relationship is sometimes the best thing to do. But you don't do it until you've actually looked at it and you're like, have I exhausted all options? Have I had the hard conversations? Have I, pushed myself?
How many
exactly
harder conversations you had for so long that, like
you're just like,
probably quitting is not the hardest one and it's going to be the easiest solution. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to end with as well. It's like when you're going through it and when you are looking at all these different paths to take when you're kind of in this. And I think that's also really good, a really good indicator of mental fitness and emotional intelligence is knowing when to quit and knowing how to quit as well. That's a whole different conversation. But knowing, when and how to quit is a really good marker of mental fitness and emotional intelligence.
Great. It was a very good way to close the episode. We talk a lot about, coaching. Basically, now we didn't link it so much with the founders, also with the community that you're building at Hubble and many things more, part 2, because I'm very interested to learn about that too. There was a very good conversation. It went very fast. I actually always record around 40 minutes and it's almost 50. It was a good conversation. Thank you for joining the podcast. For everyone who is listening, remember to subscribe, please. It helps, to grow the community, also to build the podcast. And Sasha, say some words to say goodbye.
Thank you guys so much. If you want to chat to me more, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, just Sasha Cayward. Same thing on Instagram, a bit more of the behind the scenes of building community and working on my own mental fitness right now as well to take it to that next level. So I'm trying to share a lot more and I'll be launching a Substack next week.
Nice.
So it's called The Locker Room, which is kind of having these conversations and the ins and outs of really building that mental fitness in the community and bridging art and tech a little bit more and having those kind of, behind the scenes conversations with founders of what it takes to build the six-pack mind, which is how I call mental fitness.
Great. Thank you so much. Enjoy the week. And, it's going to get warm and sunny, in the end of the week. Yeah. And it's I think it's a long weekend too. So looking forward to it. Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.